I live in a building where a murder took place. A flight attendant named Madeline suddenly died. She was incredibly beautiful. At least that's what I thought. The neighbors were all terrified, staring at the body. I knew that everyone in this building was hiding dark secrets, and they had all been in contact with Madeleine. Everyone was guessing how she died. Some said it was a revenge killing. Others said it was a crime of passion. Maybe she was killed by a thief during a break-in, and I was probably the person closest to Madeleine at the time of her death other than the killer, because I was with her when she died. It all started 3 days ago. That day, Madeleine had just moved in here. She walked into the elevator with her suitcase. A woman as sexy and beautiful as she was drew everyone's attention in the elevator, and she seemed to have a special interest in me. As the elevator rose, she kept signaling to me. It was just a chance encounter, but I was completely captivated by this woman. The next day, I ran into her again in the parking lot. She was just as beautiful as ever. But since I had to work, I just gave a brief greeting and got into my car. But as soon as I buckled my seatbelt, I received a text message. It was from Madeleine. She invited me to meet her later that night, although I didn't know how she got my contact information. I admit I really wanted to accept her invitation, but I already had a girlfriend. After some hesitation, I deleted the message. But when I got home from work that evening, I unexpectedly ran into Madeleine again in the hallway. At that point, she was clearly drunk, worried about her safety. I escorted her back to her apartment and covered her with a blanket. After doing all of that, I prepared to leave, but Madeleine suddenly grabbed my hand. She asked me to stay and keep her company. Her words and actions were full of temptation. In the end, I stayed. We sat together, drank, and chatted, spending a pleasant night together. However, the next morning when I woke up, I turned to see Madeleine lying next to me in an extremely strange position. I immediately leaned in to check. To my shock, I discovered that Madeleine was dead. This instantly sobered me up. I froze in place. My mind was filled with nothing but a loud buzzing. I carefully covered my body in white paint. Then I disguised myself as a statue in the museum. I quietly opened the control panel hidden in a book and took control of the black robot on the floor. It slowly moved forward. I was doing all this to steal a highly valuable diamond, but there were many guards watching the diamond. If I was discovered, I would surely be shot. So I had to try to steal the diamond with the robot. Suddenly, a guard stood right in front of the robot. I tried to inch it forward, but the guard kept pacing nearby. Luckily, he got distracted by a phone call for a moment. I moved the robot closer to the diamond at once. This robot can transform. It climbed up along the display case when the robot reached the diamond. I quickly clipped a 3D projector onto the nearby sculpture. The robot extended an arm to grab the diamond. The instant it took the gem, a 3D projected diamond appeared in its place. I had to get out of there fast because the projector had a fatal flaw. If someone blocked the light, the projection would be exposed. Museum staff soon noticed something was wrong. They immediately locked down the museum. By then, I had already disguised myself as a cleaner, planning to slip out with the other staff. But a police officer realized it was Sunday, and cleaners never work on Sundays. He drew his gun and ordered me to stay where I was. I didn't stop until I was standing on a manhole cover. A squad of officers quickly surrounded me. I pretended to pull out my ID badge, but really, I was pressing the red button at my waist. Instantly, a strong acid poured out from beneath my feet. By the time the officers realized I was the thief, the manhole cover had been corroded through. I dove into the sewer and escaped through another exit across the city.
As I was walking by, I discovered a mysterious alien shard. It began to grow rapidly. Within just a few seconds, it transformed into a golden egg. I was filled with curiosity, so I tried to reach out and touch it. But just before my hand made contact, the golden egg cracked open. Inside were countless glowing, colorful fragments. Terrified, I turned and ran, but that thing seemed to have a tracker. In an instant, more spikes shot out toward the crowd. They attacked everyone without distinction. Anyone hit by the spikes immediately lost consciousness. People in the hospital started running for their lives, but each of them was struck and collapsed unconscious. A male doctor panicked and hid in the changing room. He thought he could escape the attack that way, but the spikes already knew his location. In the lobby, a man who had just woken up looked around in shock. Before he could react, a spike pierced his head. It injected a strange golden liquid into his brain. His eyes began to glow. After the injection, the spike quickly withdrew, and the massive golden egg shrank back to its original size. The golden light faded from the eyes of those who had been hit. They regained consciousness. The hospital returned to normal, as if nothing had ever happened. But the next day, another incident occurred. A man was struck in the heart by a spike, yet he felt no pain. The next second, he opened his mouth. Golden liquid began to gather and swirl, until it finally formed into an alien being. The alien walked to the end of its spaceship. With a gentle wave, it opened a large red door. The alien entered the ship. releasing countless shimmering, colorful spheres. And their plan was to use these spheres to control every human on Earth.